friends, Susan Axelrod here, confidence coach. It is live at 5 on Friday. Today is the day, May 1st, that I've been talking about all week. I have been saying all week that I have felt that this is going to be a big transitional week. I knew it was coming. We got through March somehow in utter chaos. We got through April, beginning to frame out a new normal-ish for our lives. And I knew that once May 1st came, things were going to change because over the course of the next 30 days, maybe 60 days, we're going to know that we're going to be developing whatever the new normal is for now. But who knew of the biggest change at all, that I would have a special guest on my Live at 5? That I did not plan for. That I did not count on. I just asked my husband, Dr. Howard Axelrod, if he wanted to join my live. I've asked him a few times and he's like, no. And then I guess I just wore him down because something important has come up in conversation between us, and I thought that it would be of interest to share with you. So I'm going to dispense with my usual daily awakening card that I start my lives with, and we are going to get right into a conversation. So I want to let you know that I know there's a few of you there because I see the marker is counting people watching and it's going up as I speak, but you haven't popped up yet. So hi, oh, somebody's here. Debbie's here. Hi, Deb. Thank you for joining us today. Love seeing you here. And to anyone else who is here, thank you for joining us live. And we're going to get started. Thank you for joining me.
I'll join and then I will excuse myself. This is not my most comfortable venue. But Susan asked that we talk a little bit about what we're going through now. As a clinical psychologist, I work a lot with students, adolescents, and young adults. And while our lives have been disrupted, their lives have been significantly disrupted in regard to the rituals that they have deserved to expect and that will no longer be occurring. And so I talked to a lot of high school seniors, I talked to a lot of college seniors who will no longer have the celebrations that they deserve to have. And how best to substitute that absence, that loss. Shenendahoa just decided or informed that they were canceling classes for the rest of the year.
That's our school system.
That's
here.
our local school district. Right. Other school districts are going to follow suit. There are some kids who are insisting that there may be something, but there's no prom, there's no senior field trip, and there's no formal graduation. It's a loss for parents, but it's a huge loss for kids who want to be around their peers and celebrate the accomplishment. And so we've been talking about what kind of substitutions there can be. Some school districts are saying, we'll look at September, we'll look at December, but nobody knows. And I'm talking with college seniors, high school seniors, who are not sure they're going to be going to campus in the fall. And they may be doing online enrollment instead of leaving home. Think of all the rituals that go along with leaving in August. You pack up your things, your parents take you, you set up your dorm, you put up your posters, you meet your roommate, you've met them before. What we have known as normal is not normal. and there's an impact. So I just bring that up to bring people to encourage discussion and to anticipate what might be and what might not be.
Well, let me ask you a question. The students you meet with, they, as the psychologist, what are they sharing with you and revealing? I mean, is there something that they might say to you that they might not say to their parents? For example, might their parents think that, oh, it's not such a big deal for them, or maybe the parents think it's more of a big deal than the kids do? What do they say to you?
I don't hear that the parents deny or diminish. I hear that the kids are spending a lot of time in their rooms, ostensibly doing online academic tasks, but really they're not, because the school districts really have not necessarily stepped up to supplement the academics. And so there's a lot of Zoom and FaceTime with peers, but there's not the face-to-face interactions that are occurring. And so there's a lot of downtime. I'm hearing from kids how bored they are, how isolated they are. There's nowhere to go, there's no one to talk to, there's nothing to do. And they're making I don't hear clinical depression per se, but I do hear a resignation that this is now what they have to contend with. And my message is that if we are attentive to that, we can help address and supplement it.
So, sorry for interrupting. I just want to say, so there may be a faith community. In our own faith community, we're doing something to support our high school graduating seniors. So there could be a faith community, there could be a neighborhood community, there could be a family. And so what you have said that really resonated with me was that it's our job as the adults that we want to support, love, and really hold the space for these graduating in some way. And that's what you suggested, that communities could come around.
Yeah, I that's exactly. I'm suggesting that we don't assume that everything's okay. I'm suggesting that we don't say she's in her room, but she's online doing her physics class. Good. I would encourage us to check in more than we typically would, because the circumstances are very, very different. And giving an opportunity to look to alternatives.
Okay, before you go on, hi Sarah. Sarah's on with us. I just want to say hi to Diane and Debbie and Sarah. Thank you for joining us. I know there's a lot more of you, but Dad has no idea how this goes, honey. All right, so back to work. All right, so I just want to say that, of course, this affects graduating college seniors as well, and that there is an element of, obviously the big commitment that goes along with graduating from college. By the time you're 21, you have an added level of maturity, able to deal and manage. But really, these high school kids, they're really, in a little tiny bit of jeopardy, not in peril per se, but in jeopardy. So I think this message is very important.
I'd be careful to use the word jeopardy. I'm not sure they're in jeopardy. I'm just cautioning that we need to be more attentive. I'm not suggesting that they're falling off the cliff. I'm saying that we need to adjust to a different normal than we assume. Our kids come home from school, they do her homework, she's on her phone, she does her thing, and she comes down to dinner or she doesn't, and he's, or he's not. I think check-ins and extension, and then we need to find alternative rituals to celebrate their accomplishments, because they're not happening.
Mm.
Whether it's junior prom, senior field trip, or
Senior
graduate
week. Senior
week,
week activities.
or how many kids do I talk to that have gotten suspended days for senior prank week because they put the principal's chair up on the roof of the school, or they took the mask off? We're still doing this stuff. They're not doing it anymore. They don't have access to. We would laugh and we'd say, yeah, we did that too. We're not saying that anymore because they're not doing that anymore. And that has been important developmental routine that is different now.
And I mean, your patients are lucky that they're already in therapy with you for some form, whatever reason it might be, but they kind of have someone to talk to, maybe have someone to communicate, with about this. But there are so many, seniors that are not. So one of the things that I just wanted to do as a call to action for you today is to realize, look around your own community, maybe your neighborhood. We've got our two dog walking teen girls here. They're supposed to be graduating, and they're not. Is really really down about this, just right here in my little street. So I wanted to encourage you to give some thought to this. There's another aspect of this. He's a child psychologist, not just the older teens, but there are the younger children home, and with regard to this particular, they're looking up at their older siblings, seeing, what, how are they handling it, how is it being role modeled, how is the disappointing itself, are people acting?
Well, I would suggest that it's a much more complicated and integrated issue, because with younger kids being home who are missing their friends and their routine, so too are their parents no longer going to work at home, having to contend with younger children, and the stress and therefore the conflict that occurs in these families. So the rhythm changed incredibly in regard to how they interact with each other, what they expect from each other, and even daily routines and activities become sources of conflict. And we have to be careful about that. And we have to find ways to take care of ourselves. And we have to find other resources and accesses to relieve some of that tension. Because when we're stay at home and you're 7-year-old, that's not easy. It's not fair to the 7-year-old, and it's not fair to the parents who have to contend with this.
Or the older teenage sibling who also has, who's also thrown into that mix, who doesn't have their own normal outlet.
The whole chemistry has changed. And respect and sensitive to that changed chemistry to make sure we take care of ourselves, find whatever opportunities there are to take care of ourselves, as well as attending to our graduating seniors, our college graduates, being in some substitution. The chemistry, the family configuration has changed until we get back to whatever that looks like, whenever that looks like.
Well, you told me whenever, like before, about a grader who was upset at missing out on her ceremony to middle school, I guess, or something. So not a high school senior per se. I just felt like, in particular, the thing about the seniors. Remember, it's been a long time for me, but I remember being a high school senior mono my senior year. I had mono. I was in bed. I actually did miss my senior year. He's the only one I got to go to was with Paul Nudie. Shout out to Paul Nudie. Yes, I remember. And so I think that's why, like, my heart was really touched by this topic. Now, the irony is, you guys don't know, but my husband already previously, like pre-pandemic, apoplectic about the attachment to screens. And so there was that whole thing. And now with the pandemic, now we have what? I mean, for school, you're on a screen. This is a whole.
That's a soap.
That's it for another day.
That's a soapbox.
Stay tuned for another.
I'm not going to go. That's a whole separate.
All right, another time.
What I would encourage is that people stay attentive to different chemistry that is our lives right now, regardless of the age of the kid, but also yourself. That as parents, your chemistry has changed. Your rhythm has changed, and therefore your reactions and your interactions change. And it's very important that we find ways to take care of ourselves. Resources that are available, because we can't go to the movie, we're not going to the bowling alley. We have to find about the bowling alley, but we have to find
Not
ways.
that there's anything wrong with bowling.
Okay, politically correct. I don't want to ostracize an audience. We have to find ways to navigate through, and that's how I talk. I say, sailing the calm waters and sails, you're in a hurricane, and you have to do it differently. We are in and we have to do it differently. And we have to understand that the crew is different. And they're reacting differently. And we're reacting to them differently because we're in a storm. That's different from when things are calm, things are expected. We have our routine, 3 change a shift. That's how it works. In a hurricane. And we are all in the hurricane. Kids, all of us.
Yeah.
It has been my message to folks, not just what the kids are doing, but what are you doing? How are you taking yourselves? It's very, very important. If there are community resources, whether it's faith or community-based, whatever it is, that's why they're there.
Yeah, well, one of the things that we noticed was sometimes how we come to walk the dog, where I go to the preserve. And the last time we went, I mentioned this the other day on one of my lives. I mean, there were sort of like separate, it was almost unpleasant. One of the great things, I was a little irritated that there were so many people in my soul sacred space, but there were a lot there. And that is a great thing to do outside, safe in the open air, separate.
Pleasant, and then you've got to find an alternative.
Yeah.
But yes, making sure that you're doing well, making sure that you're getting physical activity. Gyms are closed, so there's a change in routine too. It's going online to your faith-based
services
community and accessing people that way. Zoom family meetings on a regular. We can sort of check other, and we have Zoom happy.
There may or may not be scotch at the Zoom happy hours. It depends.
You can use apple juice, but it's connecting in a different way until we get through the hurricane. We will. And that's really for kids. The hardest aspect is not knowing when this stops. And uncertainty, it'd be one thing to say to a college, by August we'll be done, you going to school.
A high school senior, yeah.
A high school senior.
Yeah.
They'd be good.
Right.
Give up a summer job. Say that.
Well, now I just saw, now we know that, I'm sorry to the parents here. Diane is one. I know, but I know that summer camps are getting canceled now too. So that there's rolling seas that the hurricane is sweeping up. And so from a therapeutic, that's where I think this is interesting. Each and every one of us has our own thoughts and ideas. We're all suffering as humans and experiencing our own way. But this really, your light on the therapeutic of the family unit, and it ain't easy, but especially for our kids.
It's not easy, and let me leave you with this. If you found the most important part in an automobile, because the battery needs to be charged in order for the lights to work, the radio to work, the windshield wipers to work. Everything relies on the battery. And the battery needs it needs to have a charger. It needs to be replenished. It has the juice for every work. So I can talk about the kids who need requirements. If the parents don't have everything dies out. And so it's important that parents have alternators. They have sources of repayment so that they have the juice necessary to give the other services of your kids, your grandparents, family. If you are depleted, you have nothing to offer them. And so I encourage people to find your generator, source of replenishment, because everything depends on it. It needs it. And if you don't have it, radio, there are no lights, there's no windshield wipers, it doesn't work. So it's with the parents.
Yeah, definitely. So how much I care, but Diane, we're on to this because it comes back to you, right? It comes back to your own self. Also, as you're talking, I said the younger children are watching the older children, and the teenager teaching us. And so, that's a good place to leave it for today. Thank you for joining me.
Saying hi to.
All right, friends, thank you for joining me today. Have a wonderful weekend for those who celebrate. And if not, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Monday at 5. Bye.